Hi, welcome to Kermie and the Angel Show. I'm Dr. Kermie Wohlenhaus, and we have a show tonight that is very exciting because we have a guest. Her name is Dr. Brandy Howe, and she's got all kinds of things to talk about tonight, so it's going to be a packed night for sure. She's a traditional naturopath. She's a life science practitioner. She has over 30 years of study in alternative and integrative healing. She has a doctor of naturopathy and also from the Clayton School of Natural Healing. And then she got a doctor in divinity, and she's an ordained minister. She is a Reiki master teacher, an animal intuitive light worker, electromagnetic stress reduction practitioner, certified organic skincare consultant, and a licensed facilitator for Joyful Child Incorporated. You are so busy.
Yes, I am.
Not only that, she is, there's three things that we're going to be focusing in on tonight, and one of them, she's a pet psychic, so she's an animal intuitive, and she does a lot of healing with animals, so it's really great. And then she also has a Fulgurite, and we're going to talk about that she does healing, and she works with the fairies as well, and she works also with angels. We want to just welcome you so much, Dr. B. She goes by Dr. B. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're so glad you're here. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. She works in the Phoenix, Tucson area, and I'm going to give you her contact information right now. She works out of, your business is called Night Star Life Awareness.
Correct.
And on your website, you have everything that we're going to talk about tonight, pretty much.
Yes.
So there it is, and I will show you that periodically as well. So great.
Thank you.
Let's talk about being animal intuitive and healer. Tell me about when you started into that. What happened, and did you always talk to animals, or?
Well, it was interesting, Kermie, and I tell people, we all have the ability to speak with the animals, to telepathically communicate. The key is to listen, and they're there for us. I actually started hearing their voices when I was 6 years old, and at that time, it's interesting because I was 6, but the animals sound to me like a 6-year-old child, even still today. And many of my students that take my workshops that we'll discuss say the same thing. They all sound like a 6-year-old child.
Like they're, what is that? They're not toddlers yet, but they're, they're just exploring the world, so they know what they're doing. Sometimes birds. Is this true? Sometimes bird people will say they act or they're emotional like they're 2 years old. And so animals, with you and other people's experiences about 6 years old.
Yes.
Oh, great.
I get the 6 years old because they're still have that innocence, and they have that joy, but they're very intelligent, and they know what they want, and sometimes they can be stubborn, just like the children, and they're all our children and God's children, but they've been amazing, and the information that they come through with. When I first started doing this as a practice, my first worry in doing this was, what if I'm making this up? What if I'm charging people and, it's my imagination? Well, I will tell you, I couldn't make this stuff up in a million years. My imagination is not that vivid. And I'll share some of the stories, but it's been incredible.
Okay.
And when I first
Tell me about your first
heard
one.
them, I was 6, and I would go to my grandmother and I'd say, the animals are talking to me. And she'd say, don't talk like that. People think you're crazy. And I'm like, well, I hear them. But I didn't shut it down. It was real to me, and it was powerful, and it was something, they touch your heart, and it's something that I wanted to continue with. So I didn't shut it down. I just didn't tell anybody anymore.
And when did you start healing with the animals and start talking to them professionally? And
that was about in 1996. And I had a little litter of dachshunds, and one of my dachshunds' name was Gabby. And I had 5, and I adopted them out. And Gabby went to a really nice family, and they had a dachshund named Noodles, who was she was 16 and was ready to pass. And the family wanted a distraction for the children when it was that time. So they adopted Gabby, and about 6 months later, Noodles passed. And Gabby would go into her bed very lethargic, kind of stop eating, very depressed. And the doctors wanted to put her on antidepressants. And here she was, only 6 months old, and it's very hard on their liver. So they didn't want to do that, so they called me because I was the breeder.
Oh, the breeder, yes.
Yes. So I said, well, you know, I do Reiki on people. I'm a Reiki master. Let me come over and try it on animals. So I did. And when I got there, little Gabby, she wagged her tail. She recognized me. However, she was very lethargic. And so the family had me, I said, let me take her into the guest room. And Gabby was in there, and she came up. I put her on my lap, and I started to do Reiki on her. And just as I started to touch her, she started to howl. I mean, crying. And I'm thinking, wow, the family's outside. What do they think I'm doing to her? Because she was she was loud.
Yeah.
And it wasn't 5 minutes. I did Reiki on her, and she perked up, and she looked at me, and I heard her voice just like I'm talking to you. And she said, I'm fine now. And we opened the door, and she went running around playing just like she did before Noodle's death.
Oh, that's so great.
No problems whatsoever.
Oh, that's great. Good story. I have met Dr. B and actually experienced her work. A friend of mine, I was visiting some friends in Scottsdale, and you were there. They have a rescue dog that has a lot of fear and was just very nervous, and so they contacted you and asked you if you would come. And what's nice is you do house calls where the animal is, and the animal just calmed down. Like, this animal only speaks with one of them, and the animal was very friendly with you. And I'm going to just kind of share what you did. You have a ring, and that, tell me about what the stone is, and if you could...
Yeah, this is a Merlinite crystal, and it works with the magic. It works with the Merlin energy.
Yes.
And this ring came to me, again, by divine intervention. And as I started working with with the ring, animals and even children, they will come up and put their third eye their forehead right on the ring. And you can see I wear a lot of rings, and that's the first one that they'll gravitate to it. And it's
now you also have a pendulum that's made out of the same stone. I want you to see what that looks like so that we kind of know. It's kind of has a dark vein in it, and it's a white stone. Yeah, so, and I saw what happens with you. I always ask before the show if I could touch her stone, so she has given me permission to do that. So when you pretty much just showed the animal your ring, and then it calmed down.
It calmed down.
And then you do a pendulum. So tell me about what you do. And do you work with the angels with this as well?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And in my practice, I've always called in Archangel Michael and Raphael. And Raphael comes in, especially with the healing on the physical for the animals as well. And I found it interesting because from my experience, when Raphael comes in, it's like a cold breeze, you know, like a wind comes through. And but the pendulum, what I use the pendulum for, and I've been using pendulums literally since I was 11, but this pendulum does something special. When it was the intention to heal, and when I got it, I started working with the chakras like I usually do to balance them, and then I put it together with and I was guided to do this, a Super 7 Melody Stone.
Can I touch that one too? So this
is what I was guided to do for the healing, for again, for humans and for the pets. And as I started doing that, the pendulum literally started taking on its own energy. And it starts spinning, and it will spin, and it will literally clear vibrations that are not serving our highest joy and highest good. Now, and I don't claim to heal anyone. This is not a substitute, of course, for veterinary care or regular doctors, but it's energy work, it's vibrations, and it does get healing effects.
And what happened when she was there with my friends, she said, in order for the animal to heal, the people around her have to be healed too. So she did some work with us, and it was quite amazing. Now, this pendulum, it gets very active. And so let's see
Let me show you.
Yes.
You can let me have this one back.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And no, they actually work together.
Okay. And so you put one in one hand?
One goes here, and I hold it very tightly. This is not, I'm not moving it. This is the energy. So I'm just going to go around you.
Okay.
May I have your permission?
Yes, please.
And it's just going to go through and just clear any vibrations out that are not serving your highest purpose.
And when
And
people
it literally
work with
stops when it's done.
Okay.
So.
And people, when they see something like this, they'll say, "How do we know you're not doing it?"
Right. And I
But
will
look
show
at
you.
this. On TV, you can tell that she's not moving this hand to go like this. This was so
See,
amazing.
You're pretty good. Your energy's pretty good. And given the beings that you work with, that makes sense. Get a little something coming in right here that it's going to clear. And again, you can see I'm not moving and I'm just doing its thing. And sometimes when it's getting, when it's clearing some very strong vibrations, it will go upside down, and you will see.
Whoa.
Let's see there. It's stopping. So you're clear here.
I remember you did a lot around my.
So may I have your permission
Yes,
to
please.
do that, because you still have some things going on there that are clearing.
And that's so true.
And we don't have a lot of room here, so I'm just gonna hold it and let it do its thing to work on you. And again, it's vibration. It's clearing those vibrations. Again, our intention is that it go to Archangel Michael and the violet consuming flame to be made whole and healthy. So it'll just clear those things out.
What was nice about Dr. B too is she called them the next day and asked how the pet was doing, and just kind of, you have a nice follow-up.
Thank you.
And you took your time. It was really nice. And I said, "Oh, you have to be on the show."
No.
Please come.
And you can see again how tight I'm holding it.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not moving
very
it.
Very indented.
Yeah,
I can imagine when you first saw that, it probably went across the room.
Well, this was the second one I got. The first one that I got, they didn't guide me to really hold it tight, and I didn't realize it, and all of a sudden it started spinning on its own, and it did. It flew across the room and it broke.
Oh.
So I had to get another one.
Yeah, and hold on
but
tight.
It was very powerful.
That's really great.
Yes.
And you've got a story where you want to catch up with some other things, but tell us the story about Megan, a little dog named
little
Megan.
Meg. Yes. And it's interesting because, as I was saying, the animals sound like the 6-year-old. And Meg's mommy, you want to get the one with the hat? Meg's mommy, came to me. And,
this is Megan, right?
This is Megan,
okay.
Yes. And Meg's mommy, she brought Meg to me for some healing. And this is what I find consistent in many of it, because people sometimes won't do it for themselves, but they'll do it for their animals. And so when the animals get results, then the people will come. So Meg got results, and then her mommy came to me for some healing, and she brought little Meg with her. And I had them both on the massage table, and I looked at Meg, and I'm like, Meg seemed a little distressed. So I said, Wendy, something's not quite, with Meg. What's going on? She says, I'm not sure. I said, well, let me ask her. So I just asked Meg, I said, what's going on? What happened? And just like I'm talking to you, she said to me, Mommy put a hat on me. Just like that. Mommy put a hat on me. And so I said to her mommy, I said, did you put a hat on Meg? And she says, oh my goodness. She said, I got up, because she works early, at 5 o'clock this morning. She said she had a New Year's Eve party, and they had these little hats. And she thought, like hors d'oeuvres or candy. She thought, oh, that's perfect Meg size. So she put the hat on her and took her picture.
And Meg didn't like it. She said, make me pretty.
Yes,
I don't want to be
Mommy put a hat on me.
that centerpiece hat.
That's the way they come through.
Well, they could tell you a whole lot of stuff, can't they? Oh my gosh.
They do.
Family secrets.
Yes,
be careful.
that's true too.
You have confidentiality though,
Yes,
so with your clients.
Yes,
oh, that's so great.
Everything is
now I want to
confidential.
go on to what you do with lightning therapy.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this. Now, what these are, and I'm going to put it underneath the camera as well so you get a good picture, and you can tell that there's a hole through here.
Yes.
It's kind of a rough kind of looking sort of substance. Tell me a little bit about this.
Okay, this is what's known as fulgurite, and I had never heard of fulgurite before. And then 2 years ago, it'd actually be 2 years anniversary next week, the 31st. I was indirectly hit by lightning.
Oh my!
And I had actually passed out for about 3 days, and at that time, I connected with the 13 universal beings of light. Wow. And I was passed out for 3 days. When I came through, I heard a voice say, "You need to be doing lightning therapy." And I'm like, okay, what's lightning therapy? So I meditated on it for about 20 minutes, and I didn't get any results. So I said, well, I guess you'll just tell me when I need to know. So the very next day, I went into Fantasia, which is a metaphysical store that I work 3 days a week in Phoenix. And on the table were little boxes, and it's called Lightning in a Box, of fulgurites. I'm like, oh my goodness, ooh, goosebumps. And goosebumps are confirmation. So the fulgurite, I started researching fulgurites. Now, fulgurites are formed when the lightning hits the sand. And the heat is so intense that it melts the sand, and it forms like glassy hollow tubes. And the energy in here, they're very healing. It's very powerful. It's still, the resonance of the divine is still in there. So when you feel it, you can feel almost like electrical currents. And people who don't usually feel vibrations with crystals, when they feel the fulgurite, they go, wow. So I started again researching the fulgurites and found out what they do, and this is what I use in the lightning therapy.
Now, there was a movie about a gentleman that was what he did for a living. He put rods in sand during lightning storms. What was that?
I believe you're talking about Sweet Home Alabama. There were actually 2. I think it was mentioned in Jurassic Park too. I haven't seen that one, but Sweet Home Alabama, where he was.
And you imagine that these are fairly long.
Yes.
And they may cut them up. What's the longest that you've ever seen?
You know, I think the longest one I've seen personally was in Hawaii, and it was, I would say, about 7 feet long.
Wow.
Yeah, what a strike.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you use this for healing?
I use this for healing. Shamans use fulgurites for several different things, but they use them for manifesting. These are very, very powerful for manifesting, and they also use them for soul retrieval. And that's part of what the lightning therapy does. The lightning therapy goes very deep, helping to heal past life issues, helping to clear out literally the junk in your trunk so that you can be a conduit of healing energy yourself, or just to lighten up and get rid of that baggage that you've been carrying, the vibrations from past lives or from this lifetime.
Oh, that's so
But they're
nice.
very powerful, just amazing, amazing results with the
Right,
fulgurites.
and it's nice to know that when she got hit indirectly, it went behind you, but it came up through your feet and out your head. So, and then you heard that, okay, you're going to be working. So it's almost like initiation or something.
Exactly.
And did you have angels around that as well?
Yes, I did. And what was interesting is because when I got hit by lightning, and it did it, 3 bolts of lightning came down behind, went into the ground, and again went out through the top of my head. But the circumstances where I got hit, again, it's all divine intervention. I was doing a house clearing. I do cleansings and blessings for homes. And I was out in Buckeye doing a house cleansing, and I was outside working with Archangel Michael, and I had just brought my sword up and was working with Michael to clear the outside of the house when 3 lightning bolts came down.
Oh my gosh. You're lucky to be alive,
Yes,
but you know, also the power of these archangels.
Absolutely.
So, oh my gosh.
Yes.
With the sword.
Yes.
You don't stick that up there. You also work with fairies. I mean, my goodness, you're just so amazing. And I got a rose tonight. I don't know why. I just was leaving, and I was in the grocery store today, and I work with Mother Mary. I'm writing some books and stuff. And so there was somebody in front of me that had these roses. And so let me grab this.
Absolutely.
So they said, you know, get these roses. And and it had Mother Mary on the wrapping, which I've never seen anything but the price tag on the wrapping.
Wow.
And so I brought one. They wouldn't let me out of the house to come to the studio tonight without one. And
Very
so
nice.
I said, okay, and I knew that you work with fairies, and I thought, I bet this has to do with your fairy work. Now, Dr. B also teaches classes on everything that she does. So you also not only provide the service and teach about it, but you have lots of classes, and you will go wherever people kind of congregate. Okay, great. Let's talk about fairies. When did you start hanging out with them, I guess?
Well,
and when did they start hanging out with you?
The fairies have been with me since early childhood as well. And, you know, I didn't play with doll houses. I played with fairy houses. It was always the energy of the fairies. And, you know, we start growing up, and again, we're told that's your imagination, that's silly. And, you know, you kind of lose that. And then I think it was about 7 years ago, I was told from divine guidance that I needed to be teaching fairy classes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what? And if you had known me years ago, I was very serious. And I grew up very fast, a very serious child, and didn't really take a lot of time to play. And now they came to me and said, it's time to bring us back and to help people. A large portal opened, and many fairies came in, and they come in, you know, as or in orbs, and they've been guided here, and they're literally sacrificing themselves this time to help us through this transition, because you know, we're going through some very difficult times, and people are too serious.
Yes.
So,
and when this portal happened, that means that opens the veil between dimensions, and that the fairy world said it's time. Humans now have evolved enough. I always look at them like that. They're not like, oh no, they're really going to blow up the planet. But they are evolved enough that now we can work with them, and they will be open to what we have to offer.
Absolutely.
And so what are they here to offer us?
They're here to literally bring us to our joy and change that vibration. And again, this is so perfect because fairies love the flowers, and there is a fairy in every flower. And they do love the roses, and their other one, its favorite is snapdragons as well, but roses are one of their favorites. So they wanted to be here tonight to bring them in.
You want to go on TV, so I'm going to put them on the other camera over here too, so that we can get them a camera shot.
Absolutely.
And with your information. It's beautiful, Rose.
It is a beautiful
and
rose.
When you look at fairies, now I see them as well, they look pretty much like what they do when in books, you know, kind of feminine, and there's also a hierarchy that we have as well. So there's kings and queens and princesses, and do they have little pets like we do?
Yes, they do.
What are they?
Exactly like we do. You know, the little dogs, and they love the you know, the other elemental world, like with the salamanders and the dragonflies, ladybugs, butterflies, you know, the hummingbirds. They work with that energy as well.
Great. I have a fairy woman that I know, and she just has fairies all over, and she doesn't know about it yet, but she's just so. She just loves butterflies, and there's butterflies everywhere, all over her house. And I just know it's the fairies, you know, kind of telling her, you know, that we're here, and and yet it lightens up their energies. We have hummingbirds that are also kind of in that realm, aren't they? That
yes, they are.
Really lighten up our energy as well. That's so great. Oh, well, thank you so very much, Dr. B, for being here. It's just so great to have you, and you know, blessings on your work. It's so important to do that for our animals and for us. We're going to give you her information right now, and remember, Kermie and the Angels. KermieandtheAngels.com. Good night.